This is Kelly from Watts the Obsession. Thanks for taking time to watch this video. Please click like and subscribe and hit the bell for future notifications. Here we are again talking about the Idaho case, the murders of Kelly Gonsalves, Madison Mogen, Ethan Chapin, and Xander Kernodle. On this channel, we pray for justice for the victims and peace for the families. This video is going to take a look at some of the things that people are talking about regarding this case. During live streams and in my email box and in my chat box, I hear from you guys all the time asking if some of the things that people are talking about are true or not, because there is that gag order in place. It's been in place since early January 2023, and we don't hear a lot from the people that are close to the case. There's a lot of talk, and as y'all know, there is a lot of speculation. We do know some things that are true, and we also hear about some things that we really just don't know if they're true or not, because we don't know anything factual to prove truth or not truth. So this video is going to look at some of the things that have been widely discussed and tell you why they are either fact or fiction. Okay, so issue number one, Bryan Kohberger is Papa Roger. So you might know Papa Roger, who is a Facebook profiler who was a prolific poster on the University of Idaho murders case discussion Facebook group page. The Papa Roger profile asserted beliefs about the knife sheath and other details of the crime that have caused people to raise an eyebrow and wonder if it really could be Bryan Kohberger. Now, I've read all of the posts myself, and I will tell you, it does seem like the person who was posting knew a lot of facts about the crime that we do know now to be true. We know these things to be true now because of the probable cause affidavit. Now, most infamously, the show Dateline claimed in a recent episode, The Killings on King Road, that investigators are now convinced, this is what they said, I should say, quote, investigators are now convinced, end quote, that Facebook account of Papa Roger belongs to Kohberger. But guys, this has not been publicly confirmed. According to Dateline, like many other mainstream news sources, apparently they learned that this fact has been confirmed and is known by investigators from an unnamed source which they gave absolutely no indication of who that source might be, where that source is from, or any details whatsoever. Although Papa Roger's profile picture bears a resemblance to Kohberger, I guess it's not him. And my friends, that fact is confirmed. The picture that people believe looks like Kohberger, that is the profile picture for the Papa Roger profile, is a photorealistic profile of a soldier that was created at least 10 years ago, and the artist has spoken about creating this picture. According to the person who created the photo, he says, "In this piece, I tried to archive photographic effects to learn some lighting and hair techniques." And the next topic is that Kohberger's phone pinged to the victim's house Wi-Fi. Now, I believe that this originally started, the first time that I heard it was from Steve Gonsalves, Katie Gonsalves' father, who has said a lot of things. And this claim can also be heard if you watch Dateline's King Road episode. NBC correspondent Keith Morrison said, quote, "And now Kohberger's phone, his electronics, have told police that was the first of 12 trips Kohberger made to Moscow and the area near King Road before the murders, at least one close enough to connect to the house Wi-Fi," end quote. However, during the broadcast, when a Twitter user asked, did he connect to the 1122 King Road Wi-Fi and on any of his 12 trips there, the producer replied, yes, at least once, according to the probable cause affidavit. But here's the thing, guys. If that's where Dateline got this information that they reported out on, That's simply not accurate. I have scoured the PCA time and time again for mentioning of this specific information or anything that would indicate this information is true in the probable cause affidavit, and there ain't nothing there. There is no mention of Wi-Fi at all in the probable cause affidavit. And hey, he may have gotten close enough to the house to connect to the house Wi-Fi, and he may have connected to the house Wi-Fi, but that is something that we simply do not know at this time if it did indeed happen. The next topic has also been widely talked about on this channel and among everyone in the true crime community, and several of you have asked me questions directly about this, and it is that Kohberger's sister suspected that he was the killer and searched his car, and she said he always wore latex gloves in the house. This was also, guys, reported by Dateline. Uh-oh, are we seeing a pattern? Which cited a single unidentified source without saying what the source's connection to the case was, once again. As far as I know, several news outlets have contacted Dateline to ask them about this, and Dateline has not responded to any of those requests for comments and or clarification on any specific details for their reporting in the Killings on King Road episode. I personally am really hoping that at some point we hear a statement or something from Dateline explaining all of these assertions that they made in that episode that nobody else can confirm, and in some cases has really no idea about. If you've been following this case on social media, I guarantee you have heard about this next topic, and that is the Doordash driver was delivering DRUGS, not food, to victim Xana Kernodle at the King Road house the night of the tragedy. A number of people on social media have claimed that the victims and the surviving roommates were DRUG traffickers. Two people who were charged in connection to an investigation into the overdose death in Centralia, Washington, of a 22-year-old student who was studying at the University of Idaho in Moscow became the subject of wild theories by TikTokers and a few select YouTubers. As you may all know, I am talking about Emma Bailey and her boyfriend, Demetrius. Others speculated that the woman arrested, who is Emma Bailey, was the Doordash driver police said made a delivery to King Road, but she was delivering DRUGS instead of actual food. In support of their theory, they have said that Demetrius's brother drove a Hyundai Elantra, the model of car that investigators said the alleged killer drove, and that we now know Bryan Kohberger drives, or drove, I guess. As far as Emma Bailey and her boyfriend Demetrius go, their cases were dismissed in May. You should definitely know that. And regarding the topic as a whole, that the Doordash driver was actually a DRUGS dealer who is delivering that to the house, there is absolutely nothing, zero, zilch, nada evidence to support that idea. None at all, guys. None. And next, there is the assertion that started right here on YouTube and caught wildfire here on YouTube. And unfortunately, people to this day are still maintaining that this is truth. And oops, spoiler alert, it's not. And that is that a number of students from the University of Idaho knew about the tragedy hours before the 911 call was made from 1122 King Road at 11:58 a.m. on November 13th, 2022. Not only is there absolutely no evidence to support this fact, Sources that I have talked to, students from the University of Idaho who were friends with the victims that I've talked about on this channel before, and friends of theirs who were geographically, physically close to the house where the tragedy occurred, and they were also very close to the victims, say that they have not heard about this from anybody, not one single person that they know at the University of Idaho. To support this manufactured theory, people have claimed that Christy Gonsalves received a phone call from her niece who attends the university around 10 a.m. saying that something terrible had happened to Kaylee. Well, this was debunked by Christy Gonsalves herself, who said in previous recorded interviews that they heard from the niece around 1 p.m. or she also has said 1 to 1:30-ish p.m. on that day. And she also told the Drunk Turkey Show, who she spoke to rather recently, that yes, that is the time that she and the family first got word of their daughter's absolutely tragic fate. So that is total rumor, not true at all. It has also been said that Bryan Kohberger is suspected of killing a woman named Dana Smithers. Dana Smithers was a 45-year-old Pennsylvania mother of 3 who disappeared on May 28, 2022, and she was from about 30 miles from the Kohberger family house in Albrightsville. That's where he was arrested on December 30th. She had gone out, leaving her cell phone, car keys, and medication behind, indicating to investigators that she was planning on coming back really soon, or maybe even that she wasn't planning on leaving. On April 28th, almost a year after Smithers disappeared, police announced they had found her badly decomposed body in a wooded area. An autopsy later confirmed the remains belonged to her, but they could not determine a cause or manner of death. Social media sleuths and TikTokers, and of course some YouTubers, are convinced that Kohberger was connected to her disappearance and death, and even reached out to Smithers' sister, who thanked them in a January Facebook post. The post said, "Thank you everyone who has been reaching out recently regarding the possibility of the suspect of the horrific murders in Idaho having been in our area around the time of my sister Dana's disappearance." And she added that she forwarded all of their suggestions to investigators. But the possibility of a connection was later refuted, straight up refuted, by local police. In a Facebook post reminiscent of the many sent by the Moscow Police Department, even in the way that it was worded, the department wrote, "The Stroud Area Regional Police Department is aware of the many current reported news articles in which various media outlets have reported connections between the SRPD's Dana Smithers missing persons investigation and Idaho murder suspect Bryan Kohberger. The SRPD has no evidence," which was in capital letters, "that Smithers' disappearance in any way," also capital letters, "is tied to the Idaho murder suspect Bryan Kohberger." So that is a rumor that was dispelled by police. Connected to that topic is the assertion that Bryan Kohberger's parents testified in a grand jury convened concerning Smithers' death. So, according to several reports, citing nothing more specific than a source or sources, which obviously is becoming an unfortunate fad, certain and select news sources are saying that Bryan Kohberger's parents, Marion and Michael Kohberger, testified separately in front of a grand jury convened in Monroe County, Pennsylvania. According to News Nation reporter Brian Enton, who seems to have been the first one to report the grand jury news, Smithers' sister quote, learned even before Kohberger's arrest that an investigative grand jury in Pennsylvania was meeting and looking into her sister's case and other cases. Enton also said, quote, after Kohberger was arrested, she says the grand jury began looking into whether Kohberger could be connected to his sister's disappearance. She says it became clear he was not connected, and there was evidence he was not in the area where her sister was last seen. Like the Moscow grand jury convened for Kohberger, grand juries are called to evaluate whether evidence and witness testimony supports indicting someone in a crime. A judge can allow attorneys to share details or transcripts of the grand jury proceedings with other law enforcement agencies or attorneys, jurors, and court personnel. So guys, unlike the grand jury proceedings in Idaho, where jurors are sworn to secrecy, witnesses in Pennsylvania are under no such obligation. So it is possible that one or more of them shared their participation and testimony with reporters, and this is how they know that this grand jury convening was not in any way related to trying to indict Kohberger in the crime of taking the life of Dana Smithers. This channel seeks to find the truth and tell the truth about true crime cases that you're all interested, so we can have an honest and open discussion as we all work towards finding justice for the victims and peace for their families. We pray that exactly that happens for Kaylee Gonsalves, Madison Mogan, Ethan Chapin, Xana Kernodle, and their families. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please come back, click like and subscribe, and hit that bell for future notifications.